You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast, the unofficial football podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me on socials at SamLittle44 and the podcast at Maple Footy Pod. And now there's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, and welcome back to the Maple Footy Podcast. You already know what we are. We're the unofficial football podcast of the North. And yeah, of course, what a game, what a result, what a moment for the Canadian men's national team. The biggest result in the Canadian men's national team's program's history. It was everything that we needed it to be. It wasn't pretty, that's for sure. It definitely wasn't an all-timer classic between South Africa and Canada. But at the end of the day, the only thing I care about, and I'm sure the only thing you care about, is Canada 1, South Africa 0, meaning that Canada will go to our first ever round of 16 fixture in the World Cup. We will be playing either Morocco or Netherlands, which of course is not an easy draw at all. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Of course, it's not an easy draw. Let's be real. But that does not matter right now, because what a moment this was. I had said in the last podcast, this result was kind of the make or break for this tournament. It was, will this be a successful tournament or will it be a failed tournament? And in the end, it is a successful tournament, because this moment, I think, could potentially spur on the Canadian men's national team program and everything for hopefully years and years and years to come. And we will kind of get into that and kind of talk a little bit about what this could mean for the future of the program and how this could be such a massive moment for the program. So let's kind of talk a little bit about the game and talk about the moments and talk about it all. So, of course, this is history. This is history. First ever knockout stage win in the World Cup. And I want to talk about now how this can really change, potentially, hopefully, the trajectory of the Canadian men's national team going forward. Because for years, Canada hasn't really enjoyed much success in the soccer front. Over the last, I'd say, 7-ish years, this is about 2019, 2018, was really when I think we started to turn a corner with the Canadian men's national team. And since then, we have grown and grown and grown and gotten better and better and better. But we were always missing those key moments on the biggest stages possible. I think the Copa America was the appetizer for that. And while I'm not discrediting anything we did in the Copa America, because that was such an unreal summer and so much fun to follow, there is still that difference between the World Cup and literally every other competition, in my humble opinion. Once again, that's not to discredit what they did in the Copa America at all. But what they've done in this World Cup now has provided Canadians around the country hope and belief. And wow, like, we can hang with these teams. And yes, it hasn't been perfect this tournament. It hasn't, but that's been a part of the journey. We had a really good result against Bosnia where we kind of left thinking maybe we could have had a little bit more from that. We have that amazing win against Qatar as well, the 6-0, and then we fall a little bit short to Switzerland in the final group stage match, then setting up our LA tie with South Africa. And what this could potentially do now is genuinely provide people some belief in this program, whereas, that belief hasn't always been there. Even after the 2022 World Cup, there wasn't really that belief of maybe we can go and do so much more. It was kind of like, well, it's great that we were there, and then that was about it. So now to see Stephen Eustáquio put that ball into the back of the net, providing the greatest moment in the program's history on the men's side, it's unreal. And I hope that now we will see a lot of people get behind this team, a lot more people get behind this team, get behind the leagues in this country, and hopefully now we can lay the foundations at the grassroots level, because what we need is pathways for people to be able to get those climbs into the pro setup, the national team setup, getting more kids and young adults on the pathway to becoming men's national team players and also women's national team players and just the whole program itself to then now build on this moment and to really just back this program, which is something that we faltered with in the past. We haven't always capitalized when the iron is hot, struck when the iron is hot. So now I hope that we can, because what these guys have done in this tournament, whether it was our first World Cup point, first World Cup win, first World Cup knockout stage game, first World Cup knockout stage game win, now first appearance in the round of 16, we cannot now just let that fall by the wayside. So I hope that now we will build on this and keep on moving up. And yeah, it was just such an exciting moment. So let's kind of talk about the game itself now. So starting with some cons here, because I want to kind of talk a little bit about the cons and then move into the pros and all the positives that will now follow. But cons for sure. I think we really struggled to build from the back. I think our distribution from the back was not the best at times. I thought our best distributor from the back was actually our goalkeeper, Maxime Crepeau. I just think that Derek Cornelius and Moise Bombito, I thought especially, really struggled. And I think that that comes from, one, I think for Moise Bombito, a little bit of rustiness. And two, the press from South Africa was absolutely killer on the day. It was to be expected. South Africa have been pressing teams to death this tournament. So it's not really shocking to have seen them implement that press, especially against Canada, who are also known for trying to press and build from the back and all that fun stuff. But it was difficult, I think, for us to build from the back. Another thing that was kind of concerning was we were leaving a lot of gaps in the field, and South Africa was exploiting them kind of. And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I think against better opposition, we may have been punished to a worse degree. I think that South Africa did really good to exploit the gaps in the pitch, but then also it would fall apart a little bit for them. And once again, I think that comes from them just not having the quality. And once again, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean if we were playing like, say, Brazil and England, a Netherlands or Morocco, we cannot be leaving those gaps in the midfield and in the wings and in the back and in the front and anywhere. You can't leave those gaps. And then final thing was the lineup selection. I took a little bit of issue with one of the guys that came out, and it was Luc de Fougerolles. I'm shocked and kind of upset that Luc de Fougerolles was benched for this game. I don't think that his performances have warranted him to be dropped at all in this tournament. I was pretty surprised to have seen him dropped, and I understand if you have Moise Bombito, you want to use Moise Bombito. I do get it, but to throw Moise Bombito into such a high intense game and to take out in my opinion, one of your best performers this tournament, and the case could be made for your best performer this tournament, I thought was a very strange decision. And then also at the front was putting in Tanny. I do understand that he was probably put into press, but then after the first hydration break, we pretty much stopped pressing because it was exactly what South Africa wanted us to do. They wanted us to press them, and then they wanted to catch us out on the counter. And for a little bit of the game, they were doing that. So Tanny, I get that you put him in for the press purposes, but when you have a guy like Promise David, who I think also really could have thrived in this game, and I do know he ended up getting on, but I think that he really could have thrived in this game with his physicality, his pace, his size, just everything about him. I think that it was just two very strange calls from Jesse Marsch. In the end, they worked out. It's not like we lost, but those are just some concerns that now are in the back of my mind heading into the Netherlands or Morocco, because if you kind of make those mistakes right out the gate against teams like that, you will get punished at this level. Now for the pros, and the most obvious one is we won this game. We don't really need to expand on that. That's the biggest pro and the biggest thing to come from this game. It just is. I thought, though, other pros, where I kind of knocked Jesse Marsch's starting 11, I thought the substitutions, for the most part, were quite good. He brings in Luc de Fougerolles, who I will maintain the fact he should have started. But regardless, he brings in Luc de Fougerolles, and Luc de Fougerolles showed, once again, the class that he has in him, because a lot of center backs would need time to acclimatize to this game, to the high pressure scenario, to the high intensity of the match. And Luke DeFrisel did not need that. They threw him into the deep end, and that boy swam. So that was a great substitution. I thought Nico Seeger came in. He really helped. I thought he looked really good when he came in, especially, once again, having only played about 10 minutes this whole tournament, to then be thrown into this game when we were still 0-0 and looking for a result. That was a big call, and it ended up paying off. Promise David, I thought, looked good. He was causing a lot of problems, I thought, for the South Africa back line. Jacob Schaffelberg ran the lines really well. And Alphonso Davies, it was phenomenal to see him back in the red of Canada. Well, technically the black of Canada, but you know what I mean. It was great to see him back. I thought he looked really good with his first couple of movements. Basically, a minute or two after he got onto the pitch, he creates a great chance for Jonathan David. So he, I think, brought out the best in us. He was leading on the pitch as well, which you obviously want to see from your captain. And then also, I think that just the mindset of we have Alphonso Davies on really changed the swing of momentum for both teams. For Canada, it was we have Alphonso Davies on. This is our guy. This is good news. And then for South Africa, it looked like they were very much aware of what Alphonso Davies was capable of and is capable of. So I think it really helped to bring him on. I'm not sure how much we'll be able to see of him in the next game, but hopefully it's even more than these 15 minutes. But regardless, really happy to have seen him get in there. So we're going to move into the player-by-player now, because there will be a lot of positives to talk about when we talk about the players. So we're going to start with our goalkeeper, our Canadian Buffon, Maxime Crepeau. Soon enough, we'll be calling Buffon the Italian Maxime Crepeau. But regardless, Maxime Crepeau, he had a bit of a quieter day. He was really only called upon a couple of times, but they were very good saves when we did call upon him. He in my opinion, made two really, really good stops and then commanded his box so well. Cross would come in and he would be off his line, full of confidence, grabbing the ball, never spilled it, never juggled it around, just grabbed the ball. And that's what you want from your keeper, just calm, confidence, commanding your box, because so many goalkeepers we've seen at any level, top level, bottom level, freaking anywhere in between, they come out, they kind of just tip the ball, they don't fully grab it. It was so good to see him just grab the ball. And then there was those two saves that he made that were also very, very good and very, very crucial. But outside of that, he had a quieter afternoon, but I'm totally okay with that. And he did his job when he was called upon, which is exactly what you want your goalkeeper to do. And there was also him after the game. And if you don't feel something, if you don't feel emotional watching Maxime Crepeau break down after the final whistle is blown, going over to his wife and I presume his father in the stands and having a moment with them after everything that he's been through professionally, missing out on the last World Cup, of course, and then, at club level has been up and down with a lot of uncertainty. To now see him get this moment and to get that moment with his loved ones and for him professionally, I think that it was just so beautiful. And it's what the World Cup is truly about. It's getting to celebrate these moments. Then moving into the defense. And of course, for a defense, I think that they kind of were well aware that South Africa are a very, very pacey bunch. So for a lot of the game, I think that they kind of knew that we kind of can't keep up with them, so we have to defend intelligently. And defend intelligently, for the most part, I would say they did. This was, I don't think by any means a defensive masterclass. It was the best defensive performance you're ever going to see. No, but they did, kind of like Crepeau, did what they needed to do, really. Looking at Alistair Johnston, I thought he defended intelligently, which is exactly what you'd want from one of your more experienced guys in the team. I thought he really helped lead that back line as well, which once again, you would want him to do. But it was just the little things that he would do. Yes, at times, each of our defenders would get burned by the pace, but they'd always either recover or someone would help and cover for them. And Alistair Johnston as well, going forward, I thought he looked pretty good. He offered a good outlet, and there was a couple of times where I think if we had just played the ball earlier to him, maybe there could have been a chance on for him to whip the ball into the box. But regardless, I digress on that front. I think it was a good performance from Alistair Johnston. Moving over to the left flank was Richie Laryea. And if you want to talk intelligent defending, and you're talking about the Canadian men's national team, you're most likely going to talk about one Richie Laryea because the way that he uses his body, and I know this is nothing new. We're not saying anything new about Richie Laryea. Everybody knows how intelligent he is when he plays and the way that he can use his body and, just get in between an attacker and the ball, which he did at times on the day, because while the South Africans were pacey, Richie Laryea would be able to get in between ball and man, either ushering the ball out or, drawing a foul, as we know that he can do. But yeah, he just looked very, very calm and very composed, and that's exactly what you want from one of your players in a game of this magnitude. Moving into the center backs, Moise Bombito, it was very good to see him out there. I still worry that there was a little bit of rustiness. He is, of course, I would probably say, I don't have all the stats, but he's probably the quickest of the guys in our back line when he's fully fit. But on the day, he did look a little bit rusty when it came to pace, and I think his distribution on the day was uncharacteristically not great. I do think a part of that comes from, one, him being rusty, and two, that South African press really not affording a whole ton of time to the center backs to make the passes and make the good plays and all that. But regardless, defensively, I think he looked pretty good when he was called upon as well. There was, of course, that one clip of him making that big slide tackle in the box. I think it was at the end of the first half, I believe. And that, of course, was a big moment and does the world of confidence for him. I still worry that against, say, in Netherlands or Morocco, I think that his rustiness could get exploited. And once again, no disrespect to South Africa. It's just those teams, I think, will kind of see that and will exploit that, which I don't think that you want to do in a round of 16 matchup. But regardless, I think he looked pretty decent for what he had to do. His partner on the day, Derek Cornelius, once again, Derek Cornelius has a golden opportunity in the first half again as well to head the ball into the back of the net, and he kind of scuffs it. So Derek Cornelius, man, we're gonna need to do some training when it comes to set pieces because there was a couple in the last game as well. But regardless, I think once again, just defensively, he looked pretty sound. He once again just did the basic things that you would want your defenders to do. It wasn't the prettiest defensive performance from our team, but they got the job done, and I think that's what matters most. We'll now move up the pitch, and I'm very excited to talk about a certain man in the midfield. Looking at the midfield, we're going to start with our wingers, and we're going to save the man of the moment for last. But Tajon Buchanan, I thought once again was a quiet afternoon for him, which has kind of been the case in a good couple of these games now at this World Cup. I think he really didn't have a whole ton of joy. He wasn't getting on the ball a whole ton. The couple times where he did get on the ball in dangerous positions, it felt like he could do something. He was going at the South African defense, which was good, but also once again that South African press was, I think, really making it difficult for a guy like Tajon Buchanan to get on the ball, get in the game, get to do what he wants to do. And it kind of came at a detriment to Tajon Buchanan's performance, really, because I don't think that we saw the best of Tajon Buchanan on the day. But moving over to the left flank was Liam Miller, who once again was really swarmed whenever he'd get on the ball. But I do think that he got on the ball, I think, a lot more than Tajon Buchanan did as well. But when he did get on the ball, I thought that he would get into some really good positions as well, really carry the ball, and start to kind of go at South African defenders as well, but was once again very difficult with that press of the South African defense. We'd get the ball and there'd be 2 to 3 guys on us. You know what I mean? But I think Liam Miller still played intelligently. He wouldn't try to take on 3 guys. He would look for an option, pass it back, play it back, at least keeping possession in a sense and not doing anything dumb, really, and I'm going to try to take on the whole team here. I think it was pretty good play from Liam Miller, and he never stopped running, which is something I always love about Liam Miller, is he's always up and down the flank, tracking back, trying to push forward, trying to get into good positions. That's something I always love to watch with Liam Miller. In the center of the park, Nathan Saliba, the best Saliba in world football. I thought he had a pretty decent performance here. It wasn't, I don't think he hit those highs like he did against Swiss, especially when Eustáquio came on, and then of course when Saliba came on against Qatar. But I do still think that this was a pretty good performance for how overrun we were by the press of South Africa. I do think that both Eustáquio and Saliba did pretty well to get on the ball and try to help to control the game a little bit. He was, once again, what I really like about Saliba is the fact that he can go back, go forward, and he feels like a midfielder with all the tools that you'd want from your central midfielder. He can attack, he can defend, he can control the play. He's got a very good ball on him, so it's very good to see that on these big stages. But the man of the moment, the one who I really want to talk about, is, of course, Stephen Eustáquio, who I think every single Canadian now knows the name Stephen Eustáquio, because what a moment. Just what a moment. And his performance as well before the goal, I do think that he probably was our best player on the pitch, even prior to the goal. His passing, he was probably our best distributor on the day. He was creating chances. I thought set pieces have been an issue for us this tournament, but I thought set pieces on this day were actually quite good. He's unlucky to not walk away with an assist. Looking back at that Derek Cornelius header free kick thing, but then even his corner kicks, I thought we're finding dangerous areas, just we could not capitalize. So even when we're putting in good set pieces, we still don't finish them, which is a bit of a shame. But regardless, I think that he looked quite good. But then, of course, the moment came in the 92nd minute, I should say, where Jacob Schaffelberg puts the ball into the box. South Africa tries to clear it, and then it falls to Stephen Eustáquio, who just so calmly but so well just puts the ball into the back of the net, sending everybody ballistic. I wish I had a video of my reaction when this went in, because I lost my mind. I was fully mentally preparing for extra time, and hopefully not, but who knows, penalties, and nobody wants to see a penalty shootout when you're supporting that team. But I was mentally preparing for that. So for Stephen Eustáquio to take that weight off of everybody's shoulders, he gets a big time thank you. And even outside that, though, just this is the moment now that I think the Canadian men's national team will always look back on. And this is the moment for this team. It's going to be the moment that they're going to be playing for years and years to come, on all the highlight packages, on all the World Cup countdowns, if and when we qualify for more to come, hopefully. But this will be the moment that I think that we're going to see for years and years and years to come. And I'm so glad that was Stephen Eustáquio, because this is a guy who has to have dealt with so much loss. Of course, the loss of both his parents in the last couple of years. And then, of course, professionally as well, he hasn't had a great go of it with Porto over the last 12 to 18 months. He's been in and out the lineup, and then recently this season was a lot more out than he was in, forced to kind of find a loan move, goes to LAFC, then gets hurt with LAFC, making it a very big question mark of, can he go? Will he be able to go? But of course he can go and does go on the field, and then comes into this World Cup and has been one of our top performers. And just over the last 7 years, he's been such a crucial part of this program. He was crucial to us getting to Qatar, and then his Qatar tournament was even cut short. While we're talking about him professionally, his Qatar tournament's cut short. So for him to get this moment after everything he's given to this program, after everything that he's had to go through, it was so awesome to see Stephen Eustáquio get this moment, and will forever be a legend of this program. And I try not to throw that word around all the time, but truly I think that now he goes up there as one of the legends of this program with everything he's done, and with this moment he's got to be in the talks for one of our most important players in the program's history. So Stephen Eustáquio, what a performance, and just a proper leader too. Him being our vice captain and stepping into the captain's role with the absence of Alphonso Davies for pretty much all of this tournament, barring the final 15 minutes of this game. He hasn't put a foot wrong. He's been exceptional, has led this team so well, and just I will be replaying that goal in my mind, on my phone, on my laptop for the days to come, leading up to the round of 16. So Stephen Eustáquio, what a performance, what a player. I'm so happy it was him. So moving up to our strikers now, and I think this was another one of those games where we really struggled to get our strikers involved. So starting with Jonathan David, because I know that a lot of people had a lot to say about Jonathan David and his performance, but once again, it was kind of one of those performances where he kind of slotted more so as a number 10 rather than a proper striker. And while I love seeing Jonathan David step into these roles and kind of be a chameleon in that aspect for Canada, I still think that the most dangerous that you're going to see Jonathan David is around the box in the penalty area. But regardless, it does just show his quality that he's kind of able to help Stephen Eustáquio and Nathan Saliba kind of playing as that number 10, really pitching in the midfield. But of course, I do think that you lose that aspect of Jonathan David, the finishing aspect of Jonathan David. But regardless, it was a proper team player performance from Jonathan David. And I know people will criticize him because, well, he didn't get a goal. He didn't really have many big chances. I don't care. I know what I watched. Jonathan David was essentially playing as the number 10, helping out the midfield. And yes, I think that we could implement him in a different way, but regardless, I do still think that it was a pretty decent performance from Jonathan David when you kind of consider those factors. His partner on the day, Tani Oluwaseyi, I think, once again, kind of also struggled to get into this game. We struggled to create chances for him. I can really only think about that 1/2 chance that he got when we kind of fell onto the breakaway, but South Africa, because they're just so freaking quick, caught us, and then Tani Oluwaseyi, he does get the shot off, but it was not ever really much that was going to trouble the goalkeeper. And outside that, I can't really think of another opportunity that Tani really had that we really crafted for him. So regardless of if you're playing Harry Kane or me as a striker, you need to craft chances for your strikers, and if you don't, then it's going to be quite hard for them to get into the game and for them to score. That's just kind of how it is, So going into the next game for our strikers, we're going to need them to get those chances. And when they do get those chances, which has been an issue for Canada, is when we do carve out those chances, they're going to need to capitalize on those chances if and when they come against Morocco or the Netherlands. So I kind of already touched upon our substitutions, but as a tradition, I'll still talk about them in the substitutions category of this podcast. So Nico Seeger and Luke de Frugal came in the 59th minute for Saliba and Bombito, respectively. Nico Seeger, as I said, I think he looked really, really good, and he partners Stephen Eustáquio really well, really living up to the moment, too, as someone who has not had many minutes in this tournament. So it was really good to see him get involved here and not miss a beat, come into a high-intense match, high-intense moment, and show why he is such a sought-after talent, in my opinion, and I think could be on the move following this World Cup. Then Luke de Frugal, whereas I still fundamentally disagree with the fact that we dropped him for this matchup. The fact that he was then able to, one, be able to come into this match and not miss a beat, and then two, save us a couple of times as well, because there was that one big tackle that he made that if he doesn't make that, it could have been a very different story and a very different podcast today. So very, very happy to see Luke de Frugal. Once again, he has to be integrated into the Fulham lineup next season. Not to say he's an immediate starter, but my goodness, give this guy a chance, because he has been absolute class for Canada so far this tournament. Promise David came in the 70th, and Jacob Schaffelberg came in as well for Tani Oluwaseyi and Liam Miller. Promise David, as I said, I think was really causing problems. He was kind of the outlet that we needed up top. Once we kind of put him in, we had somebody to put the ball, a big body, a big presence to put the ball into the box. And I think that's what Promise David can really bring to this team. And I really want to see him kind of maybe used a little bit against the Dutch as well, or Morocco. If it is the Dutch, I think that we're going to need him in there, because they, of course, have Virgil van Dijk, Van de Ven. They have some big bodies and some big players. So we're going to need somebody kind of like a Promise David to kind of get in there. If we play Morocco, I still want to see Promise David there as well, because I do think that he could cause some problems. Then, of course, Jacob Schaffelberg. He was getting on the ball a lot. I think that this was, as I've long said, Jacob Schaffelberg is the exact type of player that you can bring into a game in the last 20 minutes, get him on the ball, and he can make stuff happen. And while he was getting crossed into the box, and I know that he doesn't register the actual assist on the goal, because it was just kind of a ball into the box, really a hopeful ball into the box, hoping that would find somebody. It finds a South African, but then, of course, he kind of passes it out to Stephen Eustáquio, and Stephen Eustáquio then scores. So Jacob Schaffelberg was just causing problems for this team. He was one of our guys that kind of matched them for pace, which was really good to see, and he was really exploiting that and was carving out some chances for our guys, which is exactly what you want Jacob Schaffelberg to do. Then, of course, in the 75th, Alphonso Davies came in. As I kind of said earlier, he was the momentum swinger when it felt like the momentum was kind of swinging from Canada and moving into South Africa. Alphonso Davies came on, and once again, I think that they kind of knew exactly what he's capable of, so they were giving him a little bit more space on the ball, a little bit more time. They didn't want to jump into anything with Alphonso Davies, and he was looking quite good, especially when he first came on. Like I said earlier, within the first minute or two, carves a good chance for Jonathan David, and then just once again, just a proper leader's performance from him when he comes on to the pitch. So really happy with the substitutions we made. I still personally would start Luc de Fougerolles against the Netherlands. I'm not sure it's going to happen. Or, sorry, I keep on saying Netherlands. Against Netherlands or Morocco. It's probably because there's so much orange in my corner right behind us. Subconsciously, I'm thinking of the Dutch, but I'm not trying to write Morocco off at all because either one of those teams will be very, very tough. But regardless, whoever we play in the round of 16, I personally would genuinely start Luc de Fougerolles. For me, I think that he has been one of our top performers this tournament. I think that it would be a mistake if we don't play him in that match. But regardless, I don't get to put in the team sheet. So it kind of wraps this one up. Our next match, we don't know who it's going to be as of recording. By the end of day today, we will know if it is the Netherlands or Morocco. And regardless, it's going to be a tough game. Netherlands, of course, was the first match that we played in the Jesse Marsch era, and we famously did not do well in that game. We lost 4-0 to them. So, maybe we'd be looking for redemption. And then, of course, Morocco, Canadians will know all too well, were the team that we lost to 2-1 in the last World Cup. So there is some history between both teams. Neither one is going to be an easy game. It will be a very difficult game for us, regardless of however you want to spin it. But, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. And if our boys can just show up and play well, anything can happen, but we have to show up. We have to bring our A game. We have to capitalize on chances if and when they come. And we have to have a big defensive performance as well from both our defenders and literally everybody else on the pitch. We're going to need a big defensive performance regardless of who we play between those two sides. And I will, of course, cover that game. As you know, I will because it's a Canadian match. So, of course, I'm going to cover it. But it's been so much fun. I'm so happy for these guys. They deserve this moment. It's been a great tournament for us. Of course, we had that blip against Switzerland. But, Qatar was phenomenal. Bosnia was really good. And now South Africa is the moment that I think is going to live on for a lot of Canadian fans for years to come. So it's been a very good tournament, a lot of great moments, a lot of great memories, and now hopefully we can build on this tournament, and hopefully maybe we can just dream and hope and cross our fingers and manifest that we could actually beat Morocco or the Netherlands, because it's tournament football. Anything can happen. It won't be easy, but whatever is. Anyways, follow me on all the socials at Maple Footy Pod everywhere. And outside of that, I hope you keep listening. I hope you keep watching however you consume these. And yeah, just thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the World Cup. I am. And I'm loving seeing Canada play on the biggest stage and getting these big moments. So thank you so much. And until next time, cheers, everyone.
And that was your Maple Footy podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates. Remember to support Canadian football, be kind, and until next time, live, laugh, little.